The only thing better than a safe lane anti-mage is, you guessed it, a mid anti-mage. And today I've got a game for you. It is Miracle playing mid anti-mage with, I think, Gork playing his safe lane Void Spirit. So as you can see, he's already placed his observer ward to get him high ground vision. I'll talk more about that in a second. But here's the deal with this game. By the way, my name is Navetz, represent my esports team, the Sploush Troupe. I'm trying to put out more guides, so I have found this interesting one that just happened 23 minutes ago. So here's the deal with this game. We have a mid anti-mage. Normally it's Void Spirit that goes mid, but in this game that is not happening. We have anti-mage teeing up against Templar Assassin mid. So I don't know how this game's exactly going to play out, but I did do a quick overview of the scoreboard at the end of the game to see how the game progressed, and I'm pretty sure this game is going to be a great fundamental guide on how to play anti-mage, and it's going to teach a lot about patience, because playing anti-mage is quite the patience game, and the understanding of when your hero's strong and when he's not. So the obvious concepts to playing anti-mage, which I will talk about after the game as well, are the builds, what you should buy, and how you should approach the laning phase, things like that. We're not going to talk so much about the laning phase because it's a little bit different from mid, and he's up against a TA. TA has a pretty good advantage against anti-mage. TA should win this lane. So we're going to just watch him play, and after the game we'll talk about item builds and things that you do on anti-mage. The standard one obviously being the Battlefury into Manta build, which I believe he will most likely do this game if I remember correctly. But that's not the point. Let's see how anti-mage is playing this lane. Notice that TA doesn't have points in refraction right now, so every time anti-mage is able to, he's going up and he's right clicking this TA. This is huge because he depletes her mana pool, stopping her from being able to have refraction charges later on. Now TA is using her side blades to push anti-mage's lane here, and you can see this wave is going to push in quite hard. So anti-mage has started with, I should say Miracle has started with a circlet, slippers of agility, fairy fire, one iron branch, and a quelling blade. This is pretty much the standard build if you're going to start on a melee hero mid. Is like you get most of your components for either your voids, your null talisman, your bracer, or your wraithband, which is what he's done. So we're gonna see him here. We're gonna see him try to come up here. He tries to hit the TA, but he's unable to. Now he's gonna try to come forward and get this last hit on the range creep, and he's not able to. So that's really unfortunate for him. He missed 2 range creeps there. Now as a mid player, what you want to be doing is pretty much trying to secure your range creeps while denying the enemy's range creeps as much as possible. It's how you get the level advantage and how you can get to your jungle quicker to farm, which is your main objective as a mid player, especially as someone like TA. You want to be able to shove out your wave and then come back to farm, while also denying range creeps if possible and denying as many of their creeps as possible. So anti-mage is actually going to be needing regen here, and it looks like, as expected, this lane is going to be very hard. He's kind of getting bullied. The TA is, I think, winning in last hits. Let's take a look. 12 to 1, 10 and 0 on anti-mage. And anti-mage is forced to send out more regen. So I think this is the second salve anti-mage is sent out. Now he blinks forward because he knows that he's able to get a couple hits off on TA while she has to run back after the tower starts hitting the range creep. If she doesn't run back here and she decides to man up on anti-mage, she will lose the, she'll start taking tower damage after the range creep dies. So that's something she has to be aware of, which obviously she is. Now notice what anti-mage is doing here. Before he leaves, before he left the TA there, he used creep aggro to pull the creeps for him. Then he walked over here, he took his tango, ate a tree, came back forward, and then blinked on top of the TA aggressively. And blinking on top of the TA aggressively is a very smart and intelligent way to zone this TA out. Now actually he's doing quite a job against this TA, getting very close to getting a kill here. and unfortunately very, very close to getting that kill. He's playing super aggressive. I'm actually surprised. I think he's doing better against this TA than I would have anticipated. He has been all up in her face, but at this point he has to teleport back to his lane, and here is another salve that he has. So he's constantly couriering himself. He's constantly flying out salves on the courier to be able to maintain this wave. Now the 4 minute runes are up. He would like to go to this top wave because he sees there's a double damage rune there. However, he does not want to give up his 2 range creeps. So he knows that TA can't get there before him. He gets the double damage and he blinks aggressively and hits the TA again. Constantly being aggressive and trying to get trying to prime TA for a kill. So priming somebody for a kill is when you do like small amounts of damage over time until they're susceptible to a complete assault later on. So an example of this would be like on Juggernaut. If you prime somebody for a kill while you're playing Juggernaut, what you would be doing is right clicking them a couple times, backing up, right clicking them a couple of times, backing up, you know, getting your CS, and if they're ever in lane at like 75% HP or maybe 60% HP, you just start right clicking them, chase them down, and then throw your Blade Fury on them and walk with them, and hopefully that's enough damage to get the kill. Obviously, if you have more experience on your hero, you can judge how strong you are at certain points, and you can know if you've done enough damage to get a kill. And that's kind of the idea here. Miracle's constantly attacking this TA, trying to burn her mana, trying to get her as out of lane as much as possible, but by the nature of it being a TA and her blades and her having blades, it makes it highly unlikely that he's going to be able to just force this TA out of lane. So we saw him play, we've been seeing him playing aggressive. We're seeing him try to get as many last hits as he can. He has the double Wraith Band, and he's already spent a significant amount on healing salves. So we see a rotation come in from the Rubik here. Antimage already blinked this way. I think he was getting ready to go check the bounty rune. So because the Rubik's here, he's forced to blink away, and now he's going to have to go all the way back to base. So this is bad because his lane is being pushed by a tower. A good rotation by Rubik. For those of you support players, a 5-minute mark is a good time to around the 5-minute mark is a nice time to rotate a little bit after, because you can get your bounty runes, or you can go set up your bounty runes and then help your mid take the mid tower, which TA is doing here. So unfortunately for Antimage, or for Miracle, he's lost his mid tower, which loses him a little bit of control around the map. However, it does make sure that he gets a little bit of farm in a more safe manner than before. Now, what do I mean by more safe? I mean that he can farm this area pretty easily. He can farm up here still. Although he won't have anyone able to rotate to him. He does have an escape mechanism in the blink, so he can still blink out and escape. He can farm this wave, but he can also farm the jungle now, and if TA pushes this wave in, he can come back here and catch the wave around this area where he knows TA can't really stand safely, because it's unlikely that they have this warded, all at the same time. So if TA ends up playing up here, it leaves TA susceptible to a gank, which wouldn't be good, obviously. Now let's take a look at the progression for the boots here. So obviously Antimage wants to get his Battle Fury as fast as possible, but he's gonna go for triple, it looks like triple Wraith Band and Boots of Agility first. Usually you see double Wraith Band. He's probably opting for triple Wraith Band so he can be a little bit more aggressive, or just so he can farm a little bit faster. The Wraith Bands do help you get more farm. Whether or not that extra 400 gold is gonna, however much gold a Wraith Band is. How much are you, Wraith Band? 510 gold. I'm crazy. Whether or not that extra 510 gold is going to help him get a Battle Fury sooner, I don't know, but it might help him make plays around the map. And then on his build up to the Boots of Speed, notice that he did, or the Power Treads, notice that he does not build the boots first. He does not buy the boots first. He gets the Gloves of Haste, and this is highly recommended, especially if you have a hero with some mobility like Blink. You want to get something like your Gloves of Haste first. Now he comes over here, secures his range creep, and then TA is in lane, so he's like, screw this, I don't need to play against this TA. TA is really strong, her lane's gonna push up, I'll be able to catch this wave over here. And TA is aggressively doing exactly what she should. You see how she came over to this side of the map? She is farming his jungle camps, so he can no longer go over there. He doesn't know if TA is in this area. He has his courier all the way over. Whose courier is this? That's not his, but anyway, somebody has a courier over there looking for a ward. And oh, look at this find. He finds an Iron Talon, and as of the latest patch changes, Iron Talon does work on ancient creeps, which makes this a fantastic farming item for a hero like Antimage. So we're looking good. Flying out his courier now. What's he sending? He's sending his Wraith Band and a couple more tangos. Okay, important note, guys. 9 minutes in, and Miracle is sending tangos. That's right, tangos. I know this is a crazy concept, but you are allowed to send tangos out after the 5-minute mark in the game. I constantly talk about this, how good players will send tangos out later. They're more efficient than, or they give you more health overall than salves. And since he's not taking like a huge amount of direct damage that he needs to regen really quickly, he can use the tangos over time. Now we're going to pay attention to his farming patterns a little bit, because you see what he's doing here. He's essentially jumping between this bottom lane. We're going to actually switch to his perspective. Ooh, he forgot an item. Oh, he didn't forget the item. He got out of the camp, so it didn't stack, got the bounty ruin, and came back. All right, that was super pro play. So we're going to switch to his perspective and just watch him for a bit while I talk a little bit more about what he's doing. So he's going to farm between his triangle and the mid wave as much as he can, because for those of you who know how to play Antimage or understand Antimage at all, it's not about fighting or looking to do anything important. Even while you have your Battlefury, you're not that strong. You're very strong early game, but you are not very strong in the mid game. In the mid game, your hero is weak. He doesn't do a lot of damage, dies easily, and that is why our Antimage has gone. I don't know if I mentioned this yet. I don't believe I have, but he leveled Blink first. He went 4 points in Blink, 2 in Mana Break, and now he's gone 2 in Counter Spell to get a little bit of magic resistance in case a fight breaks out, and also to be able to use the spell, obviously. I don't know if getting more points in Mana Break is beneficial if you're fighting more. I believe it would be with 1 point in Counter Shield, but I guess this is a pro play by Miracle, deciding to go for Counter Shield points now. Now you can see that TA is occupying his jungle. This really limits the amount of farm he has. If we look at the minimap based on his vision down here, we see where TA is. We see Snapfire actually dropping an ulti, and he's opting not to try to fight the Snapfire intelligently, because if he not to fight the TA intelligently, because if he fights the TA and he gets turned on, it slows down his Battlefury timing. Now let's think about how farm works in this game. When Antimage gets his Battlefury, he almost instantly becomes one of the fastest farming heroes in the game, because of the blink mechanic that's naturally built into his spell. So every 6 seconds he can blink to a new area of the map and hopefully find somebody else to kill. See what he does there? He just pushes the mid wave. TA comes in, forces him out, and he's like, I'm not gonna stay here, try to trade with this TA. I'm just getting out as quick as I can. And TA, as expected, is winning the hero level battle. How is TA doing in last hits? 117 last hits to 106 from Antimage, trying to stay on his side of the map. Again, this is fantastic play and pressure by the TA, dropping these psionic traps as well, just trying to disrupt Antimage every chance that she can. And Antimage is going back and forth between camps, and now they have a gank ready set up. They're gonna catch the TA. Oh, this is looking good. I hope TA is not able to escape. Wow, TA is a lot tankier than I expected. That's the second Aether Remnant down. Another Void Step through, and holy crap, they actually turn it. They actually turn it. Is TA gonna be able to escape? No. But that's a 4-man gank right there on a TA, and TA managed to turn that battle. So that's very unfortunate for Antimage. It's gonna slow down his Battlefury timing. And around this point in the game, especially if you're a newer player and you've died, this is where people usually start to get frustrated. They start looking to fight, they start looking to get kills, and it's just not the time to do that. As an Antimage player, what you need to be doing is trying to continue to get to that Battlefury as fast as possible. So what you're thinking is, Where is the safest farm in the map? Where is the most farm in the map? Antimage decides to come bottom because there's all kinds of stuff happening mid, and there's a lane here that he can farm. He is the mid player, so he's more farm than Slark at this point. He has the ability to push Slark out of lane if Slark tries to man up against him. The only way Slark can fight Antimage is if Slark has +2 or a +3. And another reason he came bottom, I was going to mention, is because he has the access to these ancients. And with 3 Wraith Bands and a ring of regen, or sorry, a ring of health, the ancients are very much takeable. He also seems to have lost his courier. I must have missed that. So I missed him losing his courier. Now we see the pressure going down on Antimage here, and this is the kind of game that if you don't understand or don't have map awareness in, you will probably die a lot in, because I'm gonna go back 10 seconds just to show this. Check this out. Once Rubik shows, notice that before he blinks, he uses his counter spell so he can blink away and get away without Rubik being able to lift him and stop him from getting away or being fade bolted. If he gets fade bolted, not that big of a deal, but if he gets lifted, he might get lifted and then just chain stunned into a kill, which obviously would be very detrimental to him being able to win this game. Now we're 0-1-1, and while Antimage is doing okay, how is he doing in terms of net worth? He's about 2k gold behind the Templar Assassin in net worth, and that's just the nature of how Templar Assassin works. Moving forward, he does go to the bounty ruin. He checks the bounty ruin, gets the double damage, and with the double damage he will continue being able to farm. Now he sees that he might be able to make an aggressive play here, and he does. Uses his blink, uses his blink to come forward on the Treant, gets the kill on the Treant, and goes directly back to farming. So doesn't take any risky plays, takes basically the free kill since he has the double damage, and backs out of here. Now he's saved up his gold. He gets the Mithril Hammer, and he's sending it to himself. He opts for the Mithril Hammer over the Broadsword or the Void Stone because he can only hold so many items in his inventory. Now, to understand what I mean by only hold so many items in his inventory, you have to think about what he already bought, and he has 3 Wraith Bands, a Quelling Blade, which is really helpful for attacking creeps. He probably wants to keep it in his inventory, and a Quelling Blade, and he's sending forward the Mithril Hammer. So all he can really replace right here is the Quelling Blade for now. So he's probably going to swap the Mithril Hammer for the Quelling Blade, I would assume. But maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just go ahead and get the Battlefury. But I think he should swap the Mithril Hammer for the Quelling Blade. And he actually is able to afford the Broadsword anyway, so kind of a moot point here. Shouldn't have brought that up. Okay. Watching his farming patterns still, he sees there's a fight happening top. He's looking at it. You can see from his player perspective, he looks at the top of the map. And this is where, again, most players make a crucial error of thinking that it's necessary for them to fight. It is not necessary for you to fight all the time. Sometimes it is, but it's more important to farm. So he comes in at the end of the battle, not at the beginning of the battle. He's not the first one to blink in, and he sees if there's anything he can do. He moves toward the battle. He sees, nope, if I blink in here, I might die. My chances of winning this battle are not great, so I'm not going to engage in this. And he's also found himself, I didn't realize this yet, but a Vambrace as well, which is such a good find on any of the standard agility-based carry heroes. You love finding yourself a Vambrace. So he did go forward with the idea of potentially jumping in the battle, but he does not go in, and he instead opts to farm. Now he has his Battlefury, and this is where the farm really starts to explode. So if we're looking at the minimap, we see every 1 minute his camps are available, and he's going to go ahead and farm wave, farm camp, and walk around the map as fast as he can, farming as many things as he possibly can while dodging fights. And he will also most likely start cutting waves now because of how quickly he can cut waves. He can get into fights. Sorry, he can get into waves and out of waves without taking a ton of, without risking death. He only has to show in a wave for a few seconds. So earlier, this might have been a wave that he wasn't able to take because somebody might have come here to contest him. Now it's a wave he can take, and then you can see Rubik just counter pushes that wave with a quick fade bolt, and he's already stolen Snapfire's Scatter Blast, so he uses Scatter Blast as well. Top, there's another fight breaking out. Antimage is going to farm towards the fight. So if he can jump into the battle at the end, he might, but if he can't, then he won't. And then this is also the next minute, so he's quickly farming these 3 camps, and he's going to go back and catch the mid wave as it pushes into the mid tower. So you see that he's well aware of where the waves are at what times. And another wave is going to spawn in the next 30 seconds. They're still aggressive on their side of the map, so there's not much he can do. He's already farmed the top jungle, so now he's going to farm this bottom jungle. He has a ward. He sees where TA is on the mini map. TA is walking in this jungle, so instead of going here and playing around the TA, he's going to go catch the mid wave again. Here it is. He's going to farm it, and now I wouldn't be surprised if he moved to the enemy jungle, because he has vision on the mini map of where they are. He knows they're fighting top. He sees TA bottom. He sees brown bottom as well, which is Rubik, and he's going to move towards this battle top. And it's not a bad idea to move towards this battle, because he knows where other players are on the map, so he has the ability to potentially turn this fight, especially since he's level 15. He is pretty far ahead. He gets 2 hits off on the Slark, uses the Mana Void, kills him, and he's going to get 2 hits or 2 or 3 hits off on the Elder Titan and picks up the kill. So the way he farmed the map was beneficial to him, maximizing his farm, and then he was also able to come in at the tail end of the fight again to get the kill, to get the kills on Slark and on our boy Elder Titan. So his item progression, we are currently at Battlefury and almost halfway to a Manta. We are actually at we're a little bit past halfway to a Manta, and he's still farming at a fast rate. He's going to do this thing again where he comes here, he farms out these camps directly before the bounty ruin, picks the bounty ruins, farms the camps once again. Let's see where he goes here. He's going to go top for the bounty ruin instead of going to this bottom camp. So he had the option of farming here and then going for this safe camp. But at this point, Antimage is starting to get pretty far ahead, and he can start to take more dangerous farms. So notice that he's farming closer to their enemy heroes. He's starting to get big. He's not at the point where he's a major threat yet, but he's starting to get big, and they might be able to turn this fight. Antimage blinks in, the Coddle ult goes down, and they're going to try to turn this on TA. He throws down the Mana Void, and they get the kill off on TA. It's a fight, or they have all 5 heroes here, and the Antimage is able to start making plays because he has his team behind him. They got a good initiation. They had the vision of the fight. Everything was in their favor, and this is looking like a really good fight for them to take. So he gets leashed. He uses his counter spell. Let's see how he engages on this and who he decides to attack. He's still going on the Slark. I thought he already used Mana Void. I must be wrong. So he didn't use Mana Void. He uses it there, kills the Slark, and they're going to get another kill on top of the Elder Titan. And notice him constantly blinking on top of the heroes that he wants to kill after a couple right clicks. So he right clicks them a couple of times, and then he blinks on top of them. Rubik stole his blink, so he's trying to find him. He's trying to chase him down, see where he is. Doesn't know where he is, and he's like, whatever. This is just my time to get more farm. So sitting at 4-1-3, he started at 0-1, getting killed by the TA when they 4-man ganked the TA. He has basically recovered his lane, or recovered fully, and is in the position to continue exponentially increasing his farm. Now, if you ever see the net worth graphs of this, you'll see it at the end of the game. When I say exponentially increase his farm, I mean that his net worth is increasing like this, and other people are more linearly increasing because they don't have the farming mechanics that he does with the Battlefury and the 6-second blink cooldown. And he's also, okay, time to talk about the talent tree. He has taken 20 attack speed, 40 blink cast range, 2.5-second blink cooldown, and will likely take at the end of this game the minus 50-second Mana Void, because I don't know if there's enough spells for him to be concerned about getting the plus 25% counter spell magic. Watching the way he plays this fight, he's not engaging yet, but they are thinking about it. They lost their Snapfire, so they're posturing against the Dire squad, and he realizes that his Void Spirit and his Snapfire are probably dead, so he's going to make a play towards mid. Now, he doesn't care about taking this tower. This tower he can pretty much take at any point, so what he wants to do is farm, just keep his farm going. Finds a mango tree, destroys it, and he's about to take this wave here. Now he goes back towards the mid tower. He sees stuff still happening, so he's farming on his way to the tail end of this fight. It looks like a lost fight for his team. He might not want to show up to this. Actually, he's deciding to show up, so Let's see what exactly he does. We'll watch from his perspective, see who he's thinking about going on. He has the Manta, and he's waiting. He's patiently waiting because the fight is dangerous if he just jumps in. He has to wait for them to initiate so he can counter initiate. Still being patient on the back lines here. Uses his counter spell, blinks away, and while he has not been farming in this time, he is waiting to try to set up a play. There's 5 heroes who are very low, and then he sees the opportunity, jumps in, uses the Mana Void, gets a kill, and is chasing down Slark a little bit, waits for Slark to leash or to pounce away, and he's just gonna right click Slark to death. So by sitting in the back lines of this fight and waiting for the correct opportunity, waiting patiently, he found the Rubik with low mana, a couple right clicks, a Mana Void, it kills Rubik, it kills Treant Protector, and now they have the Roshan opportunity as well. So let's see if Bristleback, nobody has an armor reduction item except for Bristleback, whose Nasal Goo is armor reduction now. They're trying to take Roshan. This is a very dangerous Rosh to take. Oh man, I don't know if they're going to be able to do this. They do not. TA ends up snatching the Aegis, so they tried to go for the aggressive Rosh play. This could have been the game-winning play if they ended up getting the Aegis and killing the TA here. It could have just been game over almost for the Radiant squad, but they did get the Aegis, and now they're turning the fight around. And look where Antimage is. He's out. He's pushing waves. So this team isn't going to be able to threaten them in any significant way. Now he's teleporting back to base so he can regen on his health and potentially defend this tier 2 tower, but I don't think he really cares too much about that. The wave is all the way up here top. He's not wasting his time hitting these towers, because if he's hitting towers right now, he's not getting farm. So instead of doing that, he's looking for an opportunity to get a kill, jumps forward, tries to get the bash off on TA, but TA manages to blink away, although it did look like his Skull Basher went off. And now we watch. Okay, so now let's talk about the Skull Basher. It's 25 minutes. He's got 7 kills, 1 death, 4 assists. He has a Skull Basher. He actually dropped an item. I don't know if you noticed that one. He did notice it. He's so quick. Dropped an item, comes back, goes for the Skull Basher, and we'll talk about the reason for the Skull Basher. It's because of the enemy lineup that he's dealing with. Sometimes you want to go Butterfly, sometimes you want to go something like MKB. Against the TA or against the Slark or against any of these heroes, if you get Skull Basher and you bash one of the supports, you basically get yourself a free kill by mantaing on top of them. Now he does run away. Slark is trying to close the distance on him, and Slark does have defusal, so he has to find a way to get out of here. He got leashed, and he's just gonna keep blinking back. He'll probably go back to base to regen mana and health. It's because he's so low on health, and you see him blinking through the trees. That's just taking the extra precaution of not opening yourself up to get blinked on. He uses the tango or the mangoes from the mango trees to recover his health quicker, because every second matters, and he's blinking out towards the battle. He doesn't teleport to his tier 2 because he wants to keep his tier 2 available for, he wants to keep his teleport available for later. Now he's blinking in, and I just want to mention this one more time, that he did not use his teleport. This is so big. He did not use his teleport scroll. He blinked from base, from the fountain all the way out here, and he's only able to come here in time because of how efficiently he played stuff that looked like it didn't matter. He took 3 mangoes from here, he ate them, and he was at full health and full mana at approximately the same time, and then he blinked out to here. He didn't teleport here. If he teleports out to here and they lose this battle, he can't split push safely and get back to base. If they lose this battle, Antimage is their contingency plan for the Radiant squad not being able to push, because if they lose, he can go to the lane, push it out, and blink away so they don't have creeps to take his tower. Now we're going to watch the way this fight goes. He blinks in here. We're going to go back to his perspective and continue talking about how he plays this. Blinks in looking for the kill. Is attacking the Slark right now, burning his mana. They get the Aether Remnant off on him. Buyback on 2 heroes. We got the Treant and the Coddle buying back, and the fight seems to be going a little bit backwards. No, they've got the Slark dead. So actually, this fight's pretty fantastic. And Antimage back to farming, has the rest of his Abyssal Blade queued up, and is gonna go for a Butterfly after that. Butterfly. So some people would go for Butterfly before the Abyssal Blade. I personally also like the Abyssal Blade first. I pretty much like this as the standard anti-mage build. You go Battlefury, farming item, Manta, fighting item, plus it gives you attack speed and it gives you movement speed. It gives you a lot of different great things. And then Skull Basher, this is your killing item. This is also a mobility item when you turn it into an Abyssal. And then your Butterfly is your defensive item, and it's another fighting item, because there's 2 physical damage heroes here that he has to deal with that are right click based heroes. And here we go, he sees the Slark, they place down a Sentry Ward, they knew he TP'd. He's saving his counterspell. Look at how he's deciding to use his counterspell. Saving it, not blowing it early, because he doesn't want to get caught. Using his counterspell and then having the enemy sitting in the background waiting for his counterspell to come off of cooldown, and then initiating it on him the second that it's off of cooldown. So it is only 3 seconds, 3-second duration between usages of counterspell, but a good enemy will wait for you to burn your counterspell before coming in to try to kill you. Now look at how patiently he's waiting. He does not want to go on this bottom wave. He thinks that instead of pushing bottom wave, he's looking for this opportunity mid. He sees that his team's getting gone on, so he's going to try to push out the Slark because he is stronger. Comes in, uses the Abyssal, uses the Manta, and that is the combo right there. So this is what you want to get to, guys. This is your ideal timing. This is how you want to do it. We're going to watch it one more time. I'm going to slow it down a little bit. So Miracle sees a Slark who's at pretty high HP. He's going to blink on top of him, and then he Abyssals, and then he Mantas right away, burns all of his mana, uses his mana void, and then just hits him to death. That is the prototypical anti-mage play once he gets blink, Abyssal, and has Manta up. So every 30 seconds he has the ability to burn pretty much everyone's mana with a BKB piercing stun, and every 60 seconds he has the ability to mana void them for an extra giant amount of burst damage. Now anti-mage wants to target any carry ideally wants to get rid of the highest threat hero on the game that they can get rid of easily. But for anti-mage, it is usually going to be, and then we see the play again right there. Watch. Blink, Abyssal, Manta, just burn to death. But anyways, any carry hero wants to ideally take out the highest value target that he can burst down very quickly to get him out of a fight. And the highest value targets are either TA or Slark in this game. However, if there's a hero with an extremely high mana pool, anti-mage might decide to target him first if he has this blink, Abyssal, Manta combo, because while he uses the mana void is an AoE spell. So if there's a team fight going on, instead of going for a different hero, like let's say a backline support, he could go for a Zeus, like a core Zeus, a mid Zeus. If he goes for the mid Zeus and he manages to get the blink, Abyssal, Manta into mana void off, he might end up just wiping the whole team. That's how much mana Zeus usually has. So here we go. This is like we've played it out here. We've watched anti-mage basically turn this game around. He is 14-1. He ended up carrying. They did not have a solution to him. The enemy team is too far behind. Templar Assassin has the Butterfly Deso. Slark has the Shadow. Wait, what's Slark got? I wanted to see Slark's items. It's got the Shadow Blade and the Diffusal, and they're backing up here. Our MC boss, our Miracle player, has gone ahead and pretty much, I would say, handled this game in the way that anti-mage is supposed to handle games. So you see how rough this game was for him until he got to the Battlefury. When he got to the Battlefury, it still wasn't an easy game. Battlefury doesn't make you strong in fights. Battlefury makes you a strong farmer, and it does give you the ability to fight. I mean, you do have the ability to fight, but only at the tail end of fights. So we saw him intelligently wait and take fights. We saw him continuously farm as efficiently as he could multiple parts of the map. When he didn't farm efficiently, it was because he was looking to, it was either because he was looking to fight, or it was because he was looking to set up a kill. And then we saw all of his efficient map movements. So if I think this game, I'm really happy that I ended up using this game as an anti-mage guide, because his map movements were fantastic. We're gonna look at some of the stats at the end of this game. 771 gold per minute. He actually ended up outdoing the TA. Let's look at the player net worth now. See how TA has that exponential advantage, because TA's farming item comes online when TA gets a deso. So let's see when TA got that deso real quick. So first item desolator around the 14-minute mark. So this is how to think about exponential farming items. So TA gets the desolator, and notice what happens to TA's farm around 14 minutes, starts going up in an upwards exponential trajectory. And then we saw at 17 minutes the anti-mage get his Battlefury, and now look at his farm as it starts to skyrocket. And as his team starts winning, as he starts getting kills, as he gets more and more items without making mistakes, ends up with the pretty I would say easy victory, but this was anything but. His team wasn't very far ahead. TA had a pretty significant lead over him. This game could have easily gone in the other direction, and Antimage, I mean Miracle, just handled this really well, patiently waiting and not making any major mistakes, aside from the one death that he had where they 4-man ganked TA, and TA was literally strong enough to come out on top and kill Antimage. That shows you how strong TA is early game, and it shows you how weak Antimage is. And look at TA's score. TA's score is nothing to scoff at. It's 11, 3, and 5. The rest of the game we won't really look into. I'm sure there's other factors, other lanes might have lost and won, things like that, but we don't need to fully jump into that. Today's guide is on everyone's favorite farmer, Antimage. All right, guys, first we're gonna start with a game. So jumping in right away, we're gonna talk about Miracle playing Antimage, and then after the game is when I'm gonna talk about items and builds and stuff like that, because I talk about it a lot during the game. So here we go. Now that the game is done, let's go ahead and talk about Antimage items, variations, heroes, and all that kind of good stuff, because it's important to know those things. So looking at some recent games on Dota Buff, just quickly for people who haven't seen this, the way you get to the guides tab, you can click guides when you go to a hero on Dota Buff, or you can click this more button, and this helps you figure out what kind of timings you need to hit. So figuring out what timings you need to hit on Antimage, notice here that the standard buildup is almost always the same. It's almost always Battlefury into Manta. It's very rare that you don't go Manta second. You can see this game, this guy goes for Sanj and Yasha. Manta is your item that does increased damage for you because of how your passive works, your mana break. Your illusions get the mana break as well, so if you get the mana, you get mana break as well. We'll look at the build up here. So some people decide to go Battlefury Manta, and then he goes Scotty into Abyssal, into Butterfly, into Nullifier. This guy goes Abyssal into Assault Caress, into Divine Rapier. This guy goes Satanic, Butterfly, Divine Rapier. This guy goes Abyssal, Scotty, and then gets the Satanic, BKB, Butterfly, Abyssal. There's all kinds of variations to how you can play Antimage, and I guess let's just jump into, let's look at some items to talk about it, because the items are important to talk about. So Battlefury Standard, this is the item that you get to farm as fast as possible. I think it's a must on Antimage. I don't think you can avoid buying a Battlefury. The most important thing for you to do is get out of the laning stage by taking as little damage, or getting as far ahead as possible, and then moving into the jumping around between jungle and lane farming pattern when you get the Battlefury. Then you go for Manta, almost always second item, because of how well it synergizes with your level 2 passive. And then you're going to go ahead and look for your third item. Now, thinking about your third item is a little bit difficult. I think that Abyssal should be your third item if you're thinking about guides, if you're thinking about how to play the hero generally, and you just want a standard way. You go Battlefury, you go Manta, you go Abyssal, and then after Abyssal you can make the call. Butterfly is a good option. We've seen Scotty's. I personally do not like Scotty that much, but people get it because it slows people down when they're running away. However, we just watched Miracle play, and we see that you don't really need the Scotty if you continuously blink in front of people and then attack and then cancel your backswing animation and then continue moving forward. That's a whole different topic, the backswing animation. We won't get into that, but I don't like Abyssal that much. The Satanic is really good in games where there's tons of magical damage and you need more status resistance. So this is good if there's like hexes, if there's Bane ultis, all those kind of things. Status resistance is nice. If there's heroes who have single target spells that are a real threat for you, you want to buy a Lincoln's. So I'm thinking Doom, I'm thinking Legion Commander. If those heroes in the particular game you're playing in are a significant threat to you, buy the Lincolns. If they're not a significant threat to you and you're so far ahead, you might just be able to steamroll and get your next big item and end the game. What other items did we see? We saw a lot of Divine Rapiers. Divine Rapiers give True Sight or give True Strike now, which is why people are buying it. It is dangerous to own, but it also gives you True Strike. So it can be like just your game-winning item again, and it might be the item that people buy when the game is completely over. Nullifier is good against hero. It gives one, a ton of damage, and two, it's got the continuous dispel for 5 seconds. It constantly dispels for 5 seconds. So if there's heroes with Ghost Scepters, if there's a Pugna with Decrepify, you can use Nullifier on a hero like that. It also works against Wind Run on Wind Ranger, another thing to consider. If there's heroes with a lot of evasion, what you want to do is maybe get the MKB as your third or fourth item. And sometimes, not often, but sometimes you do want to get the Silver Edge, because Silver Edge gives you the passive break, and it is good against some heroes. If there's nobody else who can build it, and I don't know which, I'm trying to think, like let's say there's a Carry Bristleback that's massive, or there's like a Spectre, heroes that have really good passives that you want to disable so you can kill them pretty quickly. Those are the kind of items you're gonna go. And we did also see the AC. AC is a great item. I want to stress this. It gives you 10 armor, 30 attack speed. It grants it's an aura, and it's also really good against armor reduction heroes. So an AC shouldn't be disregarded. It's probably one of your least picked up items, but there we go. That is the conversation about items. Looking at heroes, so which heroes is Antimage good and bad against? So Antimage is good against heroes that have high mana pools because of how Mana Void works. So if you're playing against like a Zeus or a Medusa or a Skywrath, all these kind of heroes that you can blink, you can do the blink Abyssal Manta combo on, it would be a good idea to think about going Antimage. When do you pick Antimage into a lineup? Now that's the real question, because picking Antimage isn't as easy as just first picking this hero. If there's a lot of single target stuns in the game, Antimage will have a really rough early game. If they have a very strong early push, early game for pushing, Antimage might lose before his Battlefury even becomes relevant, before he can hit that exponential growth curve graph that we were talking about earlier. We don't want to lose during that point in the game. So you pick Antimage either 4th or 5th when the team has very few stuns. So I'm talking like you're dealing with like just a minimal amount of stuns, or the team has a slow build up, a slow progression to becoming dangerous, so you can become a strong hero. By the time that they become a strong hero, you can out farm them, and that a lot of that is understanding how strong Antimage is, at certain points. Now, heroes that people pick to counter Antimage, Bloodseekers to chase him down and rupture him. If you do go play against a Bloodseeker, you take the plus 400 blink cast range talent. This is a little trick for those of you who don't know. Take the plus 400 blink cast range talent, and it will allow you to blink outside of the amount of damage that Bloodseeker can do, because you go outside of the distance that Rupture can do. If you don't have that plus 400 range, I know this is weird, but if you don't have that plus 400 range and you blink, you take the Rupture damage. But if you do have that plus 400 range on your blink, you cannot take damage from that Rupture. So it's an easy way to escape Bloodseeker's Ruptures. So Bloodseeker is a hero that people pick to try to counter him. Slardar is pretty strong against Antimage as well, because he's just such a strong laner. There's quite a few strong laners that deal with Antimage pretty well. I personally also like Beastmaster against Antimage, because since I'm a Beastmaster player, I wait for Antimage to do what Miracle didn't do, and that was waste his counter spell, and then I blink in and I roar him, and the second he wastes his counter spell and I roar him, we have enough time to usually burst down the Antimage. Riki's pretty decent against Antimage because Antimage can't really fight in his cloud, and Diffusal Blades actually happen to be pretty good against Antimage. And who else? Let's see other heroes that do well against Antimage. I don't know. I think that's kind of all I really want to talk about. It's sort of the general feel for Antimage. Oh, Meepo. Sorry, I don't want to skip Meepo. If you're Antimage against Meepo, you're gonna have a really bad time. Meepo is strong versus Antimage at pretty much all points in the game, because he can continuously net him and then just right click him to death, and Antimage can't do enough damage to any single Meepo to kill him before Meepo kills him. To kill Meepo before Meepo kills him. So that's why Meepo is just a pretty big threat. I wouldn't, that's the only way to put it. Don't pick Antimage into Meepo. It'll hurt. So those are your words of advice on heroes. I hope it was a brief but good overview for some of you to kind of get a feel of how to think about heroes when picking Antimage.